Hello everybody and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing you a brand new review. And also, as part of the Bond 60th celebrations, this is a review on the new documentary, The Sound of 007, that's going to be streaming this Wednesday, of course, James Bond's Day, the 5th of October, the day of the 60th anniversary of Dr. No's release. And it's going to be streaming on Prime Video. I've been very fortunate to see this film early, not with screeners or anything like that. This was at the BFI event this Saturday. It included a Q&A with director Matt Whitecross, legend Don Black, and of course David Arnold, which capped off an incredible day. And some people's day was even longer because they saw a few other things at the BFI across the weekend. So, yes, dropping this review on the Monday. I hope everyone's had a lovely weekend. If you were there, it was lovely to see you, to meet you. If you weren't, if you've seen some of our other videos, if you've seen last night's 60th anniversary video, the ranking, thank you so much for checking that video out as well. But I'm here to give my thoughts on this, and it's kind of a shame. Now I've hit the record button, I kind of wish I could have a discussion with a load of people on this because as far as this documentary goes, this is immediately one of my favourite James Bond documentaries I've seen. Of course, we all know that the history of the music of Bond, whether it's the themes, whether it's the soundtracks, the scores, it's almost in the conversation as much as who will be the next Bond, who will be the next Bond director. It's a fundamental part of the conversation with James Bond, and for Matt Whitecross to make a documentary about the history of the music, I think was a really unique choice for the 60th anniversary, and it's able to shed some light in maybe a way we've not had before. Maybe it's confirmed rumours that you've heard over the years. Maybe it had brand new information for you. But when this drops, this is going to be a really fascinating documentary for Bond fans, and not just Bond fans, sorry, music fans, movie fans, for everyone to dive into, because it's genuinely, I thought, an incredible documentary, just giving my initial thoughts. And listen, I'm going to be biased. You know, I'm on the Bond hype. Tomorrow's the Albert Hall event. I'll be there. I've been at the BFI on the Saturday. Some people, of course, did the Daniel Craig trip on the Sunday. Some were at the BFI event on the Friday with Michael G. Wilson and Purvis and Wade. It's been an incredible few weeks. And of course, many people have been watching the Bond films at the cinema across the last 6 months, which is also extraordinary. And, you know, we're in the main event of the celebrations now. We're 2 days out from James Bond Day. And I really hope you've enjoyed it so far. And this, to me, is an amazing part of that story. But before I go into a little bit more of my thoughts, I'm just going to quickly bring it in the comment section for everybody involved. If you have seen this documentary, if you were there on Saturday, please comment your thoughts on it. I don't think anyone disliked it. I think it was unanimous as being one of the best things of the weekend. But also, if you're new to the channel, if you don't know what we do, of course, we're a film channel. We do a lot of James Bond stuff. We've been celebrating the anniversary all week with a fair few videos. Maybe you're a fan of that. Maybe you want to hit the subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. And maybe you're just a fan of film. You can find a lot of our stuff across our channel. And this is a place for film fans. So it'd be really exciting to take you along on the journey with us. So please do consider hitting the subscribe button, liking and commenting. And if you're watching in the future, maybe you've waited for the documentary to come out, comment your thoughts. Because I think this is going to be one, as I said, a lot of people enjoy. And if you're new to the channel, if you don't know about this video where we announce our videos, the best way to find out that sort of information is getting us on our social medias. That is Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. And we've got a link to Redbubble where you can pick up some merch in the description below, like this cap I'm wearing for once, only because I couldn't be bothered to gel my hair, if I'm being completely honest. But let's talk about the documentary, because it's been a couple of minutes. And yeah, I'm trying to determine where to start with this, because I've said previously on other documentary reviews, they're very tough to do. A lot of the time it's roundtable discussions, and maybe there'll be a follow-up to this. Maybe some people would want to talk about it, because I think this is a shared experience, and everyone's going to have a different reaction to this based off the music they like, based off the music they don't like, perhaps, maybe some of the films. But I've just got to say, this is a treasure for a Bond fan. We did a series last year, we went through all the films, and each week we talk about the themes. And we'd get to these stages of, oh, you know, this person almost did a Bond theme, this person almost did a Bond theme. I never expected Eon to make a documentary where we get to hear some of those themes. We get to hear some of the stories about them. And this isn't just archival footage. This is the musicians today. This is Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson discussing it all today as well. It's an incredible documentary. And I know Matt Whitecross said in the interview that he was able to delve into the Eon archive, and he just spent weeks and months in there, which must be incredible. And I'm trying to formulate where to begin with this, because of course I'm recommending you this documentary to watch. But it's why do you want to watch this documentary? What can I try and tell you about it? Well, I think firstly, it's the history of James Bond. That we're celebrating this milestone achievement, 60 years of a franchise. Very, very few have hit that number. Of course, more will as the time goes by. And Bond will be back there with other anniversaries taking its place already at the top. And I just think it was an inspired choice to do a music documentary. And of course, on the eve of the Albert Hall concert, There's Hans Zimmer's in attendance, so I was getting my name mixed there. We've got David Arnold going as well, Shirley, Bassey, Lulu, a load of others. It's going to be an incredible night. And there's just something about Eon putting a focus on the music that, you know, when Skyfall came out, of course, that was the 50th anniversary. Everything was about Skyfall, and of course the Olympics. Obviously, I was too young, but when Die Another Day came out, which was the 40th anniversary, everything was on Die Another Day. It's been amazing to see Eon celebrate this series in a different light. And I'm so glad by the choice of documentary I know they've done documentaries on Bond actors before, I know they've done documentaries on directors and other things, but to focus on the music, which is such an important concept, I think is the best choice for this. I think it's appropriate given the environment of the anniversary, what they're trying to do. And I've just got to say, it's a must-watch for everyone at home. Now, I want to talk about the editing. One of the first things that blew me away is when they use archive footage from films as well. They've got the 4K transfers now. I've not seen, they haven't released a 4K box set outside of digital for anyone to watch. So for a start, I was completely perplexed by how incredible it looked on that big screen. But I've just got to say, the way the music's woven in, the interviews they use, who they choose to interview, what footage they use, it's edited in such a way that it has this natural flow. And at times, there's a humongous centerpiece on John Barry, and he's obviously so important to the history of James Bond. It's amazing that we get this light shed on him. For those that are unfamiliar with him, an entry point to finding out about his input is a documentary like this. If they're watching it for a singer, or for maybe some themes they enjoy and want to hear more about that, they'll get drawn into the soundtrack side of stuff. And vice versa, if you're watching it for the soundtrack, you don't care for some or all of the themes, but you get to hear from some of the artists around it. And there's such a unique presentation because it could be two different documentaries. You could easily do a documentary on, here's the scoring half of Bond, here's the themes half. But what it reiterated with John Barry in this documentary is that it's so intrinsically matched that his input on them, of course Goldfinger is a massive, massive, massive talking point in this, as you'd expect. But it's saying that what set up this series to go down the line and span 60 years, there will be more Bond films in the future, of course there will be, and it's going to be really interesting to see how different people react to this. And of course, with it being documentary, it's real life. As I said, there's not spoilers per se, but there's some hidden gems in this. There's some bits that I think are going to be very wide talking points. I'm just going to list off a couple of things. There's a massive segment on Amy Winehouse. For those unfamiliar, that she'll miss the Quantum of Solace song. We hear Barbara Broccoli actually discuss the story behind the scenes. And that's quite an eye-opening watch, if I'm being honest. And I'm surprised that was in this documentary. And this is where I'm coming back to, is the transparency. They're not saying, here's 25, 26 Bond themes, they're all great, let's talk about them. This even sheds light on some perhaps that aren't in high regard. I'm not going to be the guy that states the obvious. Writings on the Wall is a song that many are accustomed to. And they speak a lot about Radiohead. You've got Daniel Craig having interviews about Radiohead. You've got Sam Mendes talking about Radiohead. Barbara Broccoli, Michael G. Wilson. And it's really interesting. I'm just sat there, and they've got Sam Smith as well. And the way they stage some of these conversations, it can make you think at home as a viewer. Are they implying what I think they're implying? I'm not going to tell you what that is, but you might be able to work it out. And I just didn't expect that from a documentary that isn't in-house. Or now, maybe is it because I'm used to seeing behind-the-scenes stuff for things like, Star Wars era stuff, or, DVD behind-the-scenes where it's preaching how amazing something is, but we got a really eye-opening insight with this film. And I'm just going to recommend everybody to watch it at home. I think if you're a fan of British cinema, if you're a fan of James Bond, you'll probably be watching this anyway. And if you're into your music, you're into your soundtrack stuff, I think you'll be attached to this. Now, I'm going to be biased. Hans Zimmer features a lot in this film. Everyone knows I'm a massive Hans Zimmer fan. He's my favourite artist. I've seen him, after tomorrow it'll be 6 times live, which is very, very lucky. He's in this a lot. I didn't expect him to be in this. I thought, oh, great, we've got Hans Zimmer. We'll probably get him for a minute or two. And we get a whole breakdown process of how he scored his parts of No Time to Die. And what's even more beautiful is then we then move over to Billie Eilish and Phineas talking about it. And then you've got some of the former James Bond people talking about the Bond films that they've not heard music done in this way since. And it's so fascinating to get an insight into how these composers have come on board. Of course, David Arnold did a massive part of this. And I've just got to say, Don Black as well. He was amazing in the Q&A, and he's incredible in this. He's got some of the best lines in this documentary, and it's just incredible with the history of Bond that we have these legends that don't just have stories, they have a massive input into why these films have had the legacy they do. In this case, maybe some of the music. Why has the music got the legacy it has? They speak about what goes into making the lyrics for this. They speak about what goes into designing the soundtracks as such. And I just didn't expect that from this documentary. I'm just going to reiterate, sorry for the last time, it's very tough to talk about documentaries. And this was an hour and a half, I believe, or an hour and 25 minutes-ish. And it absolutely flew by. And it reached the point where I was gutted it finished, because there's so much more they could probably have wanted to do. And, you know, as I said, very lucky being at a Q&A. They got to speak about some of the other stories. So Johnny Cash's theme doesn't feature in the film, and they said that they'd spoke to the estate, they had the all go ahead, and they just couldn't make it work. There wasn't, well, financially why they didn't have the budget to use the Johnny Cash stuff. And I think that's what surprised me with this, is that, as I said prior, it didn't just hide some of the Bond stuff that never used. Ironically, there's not a single mention of Eric Serra, and there's one mention of Madonna's "Die Another Day." But yeah, it's an incredible documentary. I'm just going to leave them there, because that's a big thing amongst people. And as I said, this isn't Eon saying, look how great we are. It's not a director saying, look at me, make this documentary about this. What is it? Shines a light on a process that I don't think's ever had the opportunity to have a light shined on it in a way as such as intricate as this. And to me, it was amazing to watch. I'm going to probably watch it again. I'm going to watch it with my parents, because they're massive fans of a lot of these Bond themes as well. So I'm excited to revisit this. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, and I hope you get to enjoy it at home as well. So I'm going to politely use this to round up my review, because it's been 12 minutes, and I really want to talk about it more, but I just can't. I want to talk about some other people. So technically, this is one of the last Bond videos for the anniversary on this channel, for the time being. But just given how I've spoken about for 10 minutes, you never know. There could be more people coming on down the line. I'd love to get more people involved. So yeah, watch this space. But in regards to that, please do comment your thoughts again on this documentary if you've seen it, and if you haven't seen the documentary, let us know your thoughts on Bond, on the music, on the themes. Let me some of your favourite music themes. Let me some of your underrated ones. It's really interesting to hear people discuss this. It was amazing hearing everyone's different stories at the weekend and their history with it. And I just think that's what we're here for. We're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the series. It's unparalleled, and there's going to be so much more happening down the line. I'm just so grateful that Eon, have not just took the chance to do this, but they've really made it feel like an anniversary this year. We've had so much stuff happening throughout the cinema releases, the BFI weekend, even like a triple IMAX bar. I didn't go for the Daniel Craig stuff, but that's kind of cool in its own right. Living Dead had a screening with some of the cast in attendance. The Spy Who Loved Me was there, and John Glenn was there. There was so much happening, and massive kudos to the BFI for being involved. Also, and I'm going to say this, I always say this, always the big screen experience. I was very lucky to see this film in a cinema. I know it's going to be streaming. I know originally I believe it was designed to be an Apple documentary. It's part of the MGM merger. Of course, this is now on Amazon. So there's probably some more behind the scenes that's happened over the year that we may hear about in the foreseeable future. But it's an exciting time to be a Bond fan. We've got this anniversary. Who knows if there'll be an announcement tomorrow or anything else. I'm not going to get my hopes up too much, but we're into an unknown period now. But the one thing we can guarantee on is that this franchise is safe. Amazon has the money to prop up Eon, and let's see where they go. Let's see where they take it. So that's going to round up this review. Again, thank you to everyone for watching at home, for getting involved, for checking out all of our Bond stuff, not just across this year, across last year too. Honestly, it does mean a lot to us. And I'm going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for that. And be sure to join us on the next one. Take care.